Hi, this is Leanne, and I'm doing my presentation for 8907 EDU for academic performance and learning analytics. So my aim for this assignment is to determine if there is a relationship between satisfaction and self-efficacy and academic performance. My hypothesis or null hypothesis is that satisfaction or self-efficacy has no effect on academic performance. Otherwise, the alternative is that satisfaction and or self-efficacy has a positive correlation on academic performance. I have three research questions. Firstly, is there a relationship between academic performance and the driving factors of satisfaction and self-efficacy? Whether these factors of self-efficacy satisfaction can be used to predict and or drive academic performance, and which of these is the most important factor to help accurately predict student performance. So from my research, came across this from Templar et al. 2017, where they were proposing that online engagement measures correlated with academic performance. And I took those online engagement measures to be similar to that of satisfaction or self-efficacy. So the methods that we used were data mining, where we were understanding the data, descriptive statistics and statistical analysis, where we're determining any significant relationships, linear regression analysis, then to forecast any relationship between the three areas of satisfaction, self-efficacy, and academic performance. The measures used was a questionnaire, which was a 9-item questionnaire or survey using a Likert scale. There was 3 items for each of the areas. And then the Likert scale responses were from 1, not at all the way up to 5, very much. We then had the use of Excel or SPSS data output. So from the data, the raw data, we get that there was 100 students in total, aged between 19 and 24. That there was more males than females, 67 males to the 67 females to the 33 males. The range of the females was smaller, that of 3 for females to that of 5 with the males. Taking the raw data, putting it into APA7 format, we get this where the number equates to 100 by adding these two up, and the individual means and standard deviations and range are given. Then using the descriptive statistics, looking at each of these for self-efficacy, satisfaction, performance. Again, we have our associated means. From this, the graph is produced here, where the means are similar for both satisfaction and self-efficacy, possibly suggesting that therefore a similar effect may be on performance. Firstly, though, before we begin, we must do a preliminary analysis. Here we do a normality test where we consider skewness and kurtosis. The threshold values for this are -2 to +2. Our skewness values were from negative 0.63 to 0.03, and the kurtosis values from negative 0.75 to 0.2. These values here show that, as expected, due to it being a normally distributed data, that all these indicators, self-efficacy, satisfaction, and performance, were within the recommended threshold values, so therefore reported to be satisfactory, meaning that the data is normally distributed and that therefore any test will be future ones parametric tests. I forgot to mention at the beginning I have a cold, so I'll just try and see how I go through this. Okay, then taking the raw data again, applying that into do a regression, and end up with these graphs. So regression graphs. Okay, we end up with a correlation, positive correlation for self-efficacy and performance, and a positive correlation again for satisfaction or performance versus satisfaction. There is a stronger positive correlation here due to the data being close together than that of the satisfaction. We can also see the gradient of this line is steeper than for graph 2, therefore suggesting that self-efficacy has more positive correlation to satisfaction. So from these graphs as well, we can get our gradients or our b-values. Okay, these come from our equation here. Okay, and again that shows the steepness of the graph, that being smaller than that value. Okay, next applies with t-test. T-test is done because we have parametric or normally distributed data. This allows us to compare two average scores, that is the difference between the two means we are looking at, like here. So our hypothesis that is there a difference between self-efficacy, satisfaction or performance depending on gender? Our null hypothesis would be that gender has no effect. And ideally this is what we want, because we want to be able to concentrate on self-efficacy and satisfaction and performance alone. So we use a Levene test for this, for the equality of variances, and we found that there was equal variance. So our figures of 0.28, 0.34 and 0.85 respectively, these are all greater than 0.05, which means that we can assume equal variance and therefore accept the null hypothesis, which means that gender has no effect. Moving on from there, we can therefore state that in a conclusion of our APA7 format, and then taking again the raw data. Okay, we can take this a step further. Now we can use the equal variance for the t-test statistics and get the Levene test and the Cohen's d. So from the information, we end up with getting our test findings or conclusions. Here stating, still looking at gender, that there is no significant effect for the three of these. So our Cohen's d represented that for the three areas. Next thing to do is to look at comparison. So we want to compare self-efficacy to performance and satisfaction to performance. So using our Pearson's correlation, okay, we look at the R value, and what we get for self-efficacy is 0.57. For satisfaction we get 0.39. Okay, this shows a large positive relationship here, being a larger number here than this one, but this one has a moderate relationship. So comparing this, it shows that self-efficacy has a stronger relationship on academic performance and satisfaction. That's great because it corresponds with the regression analysis of the graph that we had shown previously, where the gradient was more positive for self-efficacy. So again, backing up our previously. Taking a step forward, we can use Pearson's correlation with the R-squared value. So the R-squared value shows here, so 0.33, converting that to a percentage, okay, shows that we have a high percentage of 33 here for self-efficacy compared to 15% here for satisfaction. So again, these represent that self-efficacy has a larger effect on academic performance. Taking another step, we can then apply linear regression to the raw data. Okay, if we do that, okay, we end up with this table where we end up with our b-values. Okay, our b-values then give us our equation of our prediction equations, and this is essentially where we want to be able to get. So what we get is equation in the form of y, which is performance, equals bx, or our x value here is either the self-efficacy or the satisfaction, plus our y-intercept. So a constant y-intercept here, and then our gradients given from here. So these are our prediction equations from our raw data. They are similar to that of our regression or trend line. Okay, similar. This would be more accurate because it's using our raw data, where this was just a line of best fit. But both of these show that self-efficacy and satisfaction are significant predictors as well, because our significant value here is larger than, or smaller than, again, smaller than 0.05. So it is. So our discussion is that our parametric tests were conducted, and due to the data being continuous and normally distributed. So we found that there was a positive relationship that exists between academic performance and the driving factors of self-efficacy and or satisfaction. We found that self-efficacy and satisfaction can be used to predict academic performance. We also found that self-efficacy has a stronger positive relationship on academic performance and satisfaction. This is found by using the Pearson's correlation figures and the associated R-squared values. And we also were able to state and show that gender had no effect on the variance of these. So we can solely rely on these values. So limitations. So the validity or limitations of this study might be that demographics might change from one location to the other. Language may change the understanding of the questionnaire. So symbol-based languages might have difficulty. Cultures may change the level of their perception of the three areas. Ethical issues where we might be looking at ownership and privacy of the data. So we might need to get students to sign a ownership and privacy policy. Suggested improvements is where the researchers and practitioners can reproduce and extend this analysis for surveys in other countries, universities or specific groups, student groups, undertake a separate literature review to advise on any of the above limitations. And last of all, looking at future use. So the results from this data might be important for budgetary or financial decisions, allocation of resources or bursaries offered to students, and may be used for recruitment management and retention of students. Thank you very much for listening.